think we're past trying to figure out the right description. It's a crisis.
The shortage of affordable housing in Frankfurt is, like in many other major centres in Germany, is serious.
I think for key workers it is a challenge given the median house price of $1 million in Sydney.
Only 2% of the housing in London today is intermediate. In other words, sits between private and social housing.
We're at that point in time, we're at a tipping point where people really can't afford to live and work in the city.
We have not had a proactive approach to planning until recently, and the infrastructure provision has really lagged the growth in population and economic activity.
Quite difficult to see a clear housing vision and policy that will unlock sufficient new construction to satisfy the real demand.
Well, we don't have a willingness at the political level to sort of recognize what it is that makes housing work.
There's a huge and growing number of people who are unable to access market housing of any type.
That we're creating poverty by not building housing. We're forcing people into areas of living where they don't necessarily want to be, and we're costing them, we're making housing such a big part of people's monthly budget. The poorer they get, the bigger percentage that is. That's really not fair.
I certainly think that the days of complacently sitting back and expecting lots of fresh graduates from across the world wanting to come to London, settling down and offering their skills and talents to London shouldn't be taken for granted anymore.
I think businesses across London realise the huge impact the housing crisis is having on their ability to recruit and retain staff. I think with everything in housing, there is never a silver bullet. There's never a single solution which is going to change everything. The way to tackle the housing crisis, certainly we feel in London, is by using every possible opportunity to increase supply.
So it's a cooperative effort from a regional perspective of getting higher density on the transit lines with homeless and affordable monies and union participation.
Well, I think for affordable housing, obviously, is not only the responsibility of the private sector. Government must take a major part in providing affordable housing.
The first thing we need to do is change the planning rules so it's easier to add housing supply.
We think that both modular housing and micro apartments, and even the conversion of office spaces, have a role to play in addressing the shortage of affordable housing.
We should actually embrace robotic construction.
Value capture should orientate towards where there's zoning changes and a genuine uplift in land value, and it's fair to share some of that to drive infrastructure provision.
What's been really important to us in London is to make sure that our funding package and our planning approach and our approach to land all work together.
And I think we also need to think about regeneration schemes. As we regenerate local authority estates or older estates, how do we make sure those people who lived in those communities for years have a stake and benefit from that regeneration, and we're not just pushing them out?